Hi, Frederik. Hi to all those who might end up watching this live session. Today, we decided to have a conversation about the investor visa. We are the Migration Resource Center, a not-for-profit located on Staten Island, providing legal services in the field of immigration and tax. And today we're going to have a conversation with Frederik Stefani, who is the CEO of the organization and who is a practitioner in the field of immigration law and not only. And we'll be talking about the investor visa, in particular E1, E2, and EB5 visas. Maybe our audience heard about these names before. We'll try to unpack a little bit the requirements for this type of visas, how to prepare, maybe how the long the process is, and what it entails to become an investor, a foreigner investor in the United States in order to obtain those type of visas. Fred, do you want to say hello, say a little bit about Migration Resource Center more than what I already mentioned?
I guess you just covered everything. Good morning, everyone. Today we have chosen a topic of investment, investor's visa in the U.S. Our office is able to represent clients that are that have a desire, they do qualify to invest in the United States. The E1 and E2 is relatively uncomplicated visa. It's a very quick process compared with other working visas like H-1Bs or H-2Bs or any other working visa. So it's relatively uncomplicated unless you don't qualify. There are certain criteria which we're gonna discuss later in this series of education that we do for people that wants to know more about it or have planned to come and invest in this country.
Thank you, Fred. Let's start with the first clarification, because even in your short introduction, you mentioned about immigrant visas or working visas. So if you can clarify the distinction between immigrant visas and non-immigrant visas, and which category is the investor visa? Is a non-immigrant or is it immigrant visa?
Yes, there are two kinds of visas, non-immigrant or working visas that you come to United States to work in certain employers or level of your expertise, but you have to leave the country. There's certain amount of years that you can work here and then you leave the country. Immigrant visas are where you are sponsored either by family members or employer, and you come here as a permanent resident to live permanently in the United States. And investment visas, there are visas that are considered investment, non-immigrant visas. So this, especially E1 or E2, it doesn't lead you towards of your permanent residency status as a visa itself. You might find other ways, other cases, or other, if you qualify parallel while you are here in the States to qualify to get your permanent residency status, but the E1, E2 doesn't lead you towards of permanent residency status. Is a visa for people who have certain amount of funds to invest in the US and live here. There is no limit time. You can be here for many, many years as long your business goes well and you pay taxes, and you can bring your family too, your wife and your children that are under the age of 21. So you can basically live here, pay taxes, run your business, make your own profit as everybody else. You can travel back and forth. It's a very interesting visa for people who really do qualify.
So what's the difference between E1 and E2? I know when it comes to certain type of visa, there are a lot of numbers, E1, H1, HB2, it's all these different categories. So if you can clarify the difference between investor visa E1 and investor visa E2, if there is any difference.
It's a slightly different, but E1 is more for trade. The E1 is specialized for trading, for people who makes or bring goods back and forth in the US and from other countries. So the E1 is designed for that particular category of people that are in this kind of business, while E2 is more on an individual basis where someone wants to come in the US and in his field that of expertise, they can open a business here, they can create the business, or they can buy an existing business, or you also can buy a franchise business, so you can become a franchisee based of the E2 visa.
Mm-hmm. Since you mentioned that E1 is more on the trade based side, do you have to, the country of your regions, does it have to have any trade agreement with the United States in order to qualify for that type of visa, or it doesn't matter?
This is a great question, Vicky, and this is the most important thing when you start the qualification and talk to the client. Department of State update that list for e-visas with countries that have a trade with United States every year. There is a list that is at the Department of State, so you can go by the list. If the country is not in the list or the US has not trade treaty with that particular country, you won't be able to qualify for that particular visa. So first, you have to be national or citizen of the country that has treaty with United States and is in the list of the Department of State for that particular year, because the list can change. Treaty may not be renewed, so anything can happen. So it's good always to check the updated list from Department of State before you can start the process.
And that is for both type, for E1 and E2, or
That
just?
is correct. That is correct.
Okay, yeah. That's interesting. That's a really interesting specific. So let's talk a little bit about the money. How much money do you need? Let's say you want to come to the United States as an investor, entrepreneur. You want to open a business here. You have an idea, or you maybe, like you mentioned, you want to buy a franchise and you want to run that franchise, run that business. How much money do you need? Is there a cap? Is there a specific amount that you're required to present to have in your bank account? Do you present it in cash? Do you present it in assets? If you can talk a little bit about the money requirements, if there are any.
Sure. Yeah, this is the basically heart of the process. The statute doesn't specify how much you can invest in the US. It depends from the business. You might have a beauty salon, or you might buy a franchise business. You might have any other business. So it depends what kind of business you actually open, and the funds will be there. So if you have a restaurant, basically might go more than $150,000 to start or buy this business. So you have to show that you have funds to start the business. But bottom line is that there is no such criteria in the statute that, okay, you have to have X amount of money in order to actually start. What is more important for investors that think to invest in the US, there are three elements very important in this process. One is that how you generated these funds. So the US government wants to know that how you made the money in your home country. You made it by saving, you have business there, you want to open another business here, and so on and so forth. So they want to know how you made the money. So it's a very important to show clear cut that you made the money through a legit work in your home country. You probably pay taxes there, you have business and so on. So you have to show that. The other element of that is how you transfer the funds in the US. So you cannot just come with a bag of money and bring in the US. You have
Yeah,
to transfer
by
this
cash.
through. Yes, you
In,
cannot do that. No, you have to transfer these funds via a bank channel. So you have Bank A in your home country and Bank B here, where you transfer. So the funds are already through the bank channel coming in the US. And the other element that is in this application is the risk. So as investors, you have to show the US government that you take a risk. So you come here, you bring the funds, you start spending for the business. You have to be up to 10 to 15% of the risk that you should take when you open the business. So you maybe lease, you have equipment to buy, you pay certain other fees or things for your business to open. So you have to show them that you spend money and you are serious in this business. You take the risk. So those are three very crucial elements to me in order for you to qualify that you can apply for E2 or E1 visa.
mm-hmm. I see. Can you take a loan? Can you say that you're taking a loan in order to open that business? And if yes, can you take the loan from your origin country, country of origins, or from even from the United States if you qualify at that time, not being here when I qualify for a loan?
Generally, in my experience, especially the U.S. consulate, they don't really appreciate taking a loan. They like you to have your own money to bring in the U.S. and you have showed that how you made the money. However, in the process, you can also show appreciation and depreciation on the process of that. But general speaking, I have seen in different consulates, they don't really like to see loans for that. You have to see your own particular funds that you have. You come solid with your own money to invest in the US.
Mm-hmm. I see.
And also, the other thing that I want to say here is that when you come with that visa, it doesn't mean that you have to live with a minimum wage. You have to show that you are going to live here comfortably with your family. So you are going to make money to live comfortably, and you have to pay yourself too. So this what the criteria or the interview is to show on your business plan, because also you have to create a business plan to show the U.S. government that you have a plan and you know where you're heading from year 1 to year 5.
Okay, sounds good. I had one more question about, are there any employment requirements? Do you have to have employed people for your business? Can you be the only employee for 1, 2 years and then start employing people? Are there any requirements in that regard?
Yes, you can employ people if you are able to. It's not really kind of mandatory, and especially at the beginning when you start the business from scratch. But if you buy a existing business, you might have employee already in the system of the business. But you have to show this on the business plan. So it is not really mandatory to have. If you do have it, you show that you really are in a strong position. But down the road, when you renew your visa, you have to show your income, your taxes, employees that you have. So basically on the renewal stage, you have to show that your business had made a progress to be solid, and also employ US citizens or permanent resident, because one of the reason that this kind of visas has been given to people who can invest here is to open jobs and bring funds in the US. So definitely will actually help when you renew your visa. You show that you are a solid business and you have hired other people, you're a citizen or permanent resident in the country.
And when do you renew your visa? When you obtain your visa initially, for how long are you obtaining it? For 2, 3 years, 5 years?
As I said, these visas are indefinitely. However, you have to renew. It depends from the country. There are countries where you can get visas for 5 years. There are countries you get for 3 years. So it depends where you're from, and based on that, you will get the visas, but usually are between 3 to 5 years. So every 3 to 5 years, you should renew your visa. You have to show your taxes. You have to show your income and other supporting documents, and you can renew the visa.
Okay, sounds great. Let's move now slowly towards the kind of the third, I call it third category, but it's just, I guess, a different type of investor visa, or targets different categories of investors. EB5. If you can tell us a little bit about that type of visa. I know for that type of visa, you need much more money, and you need a specific amount. At least the minimum is required, and then you also have the job or the employment requirements. You gotta employ people once you open your business, or you buy, and I think there are some other requirements for that specific type of visa, EB5.
Yes, that's this EB5 visas are created since 1990, and these are investment visas where you should have certain amount of money. And the rules have been changed from 1990 till now. Even 3 weeks ago, the U.S. government changed the rule about the investment just lowered to $500,000. So let's just give you some kind of a perspective, or what was before and how we're moving forward with the EB5. It's very important visas, and the US gets a lot of investors under that program. So when this program was created, there are investors where it can be individual investors, and you would be able to invest up to $1 million+ in the US. Now is $500,000, but I'm just saying that how was just 2-3 weeks ago. So you invest as an individual or pool, which means that you can bring $1 million in the US, and you can be individual investing. You can open a business or whatever you think to invest, and that will lead you towards your permanent residency status. If you invest, you have the plan, you start, so you take the risk pretty much under, as we spoke, under E2 or E1 or E2 visa. So you always have to show that you take a risk. It's very important that, and you can employ up to 9 people, and you have to show that there are some criteria, and then you can apply for permanent resident status, which is conditional, given to you in the first 2 years, and then you can reapply to a remove of your condition based of the business that actually going. So this is for an individual who doesn't want to be on the pool. Pool means that you still can invest more than $1 million in the US, but you are part of the project. Let's say you are part of the project to build a school in X city in the US. So you have a county that wants to build that, and you are going to be part of it. So there are other people who invested there, foreigners or people that live in the US, and you are part of it. So the advantage of it is that you don't need to show that you employed 9 people or some other criteria where you are individually there, but you show that you invested in this project to build a hospital or building or whatever case might be, but you are part of the pool, which removes some of the criteria, like you have to show that you hired 9 employees or other criteria to show where the investments of the money, because it will be on the pool project, the business plan. You have a other business plan that is more on the other investors. Still, you can apply for permanent residency. It's for 2 years. You bring a family and children here under 21. And if they are under 21 at the time when you get the permanent residency, they are also permanent residents as well. Lately, the U.S. government has lowered that $1 million to $500,000. There are some regs to come out. Always, when you have changes like this, the USCIS has to come up with regulations to know more and where and how. I do know that when it was $1 million, always you still can invest it $500,000, but you have to invest it to the places where unemployment was higher than the average number in the US. For, let's say, if the unemployment was for that particular time was 4%, you should invest $500,000, not $1 million, but $500,000 to the areas where unemployment is, let's say, 5%, 6%. So it's higher the national average. Then you can invest $500,000 there. I'm not sure, I have to admit, I'm not sure what the regs will be with $500,000 now, or how this will be counted towards of the investing with $500,000 to the areas where unemployment is higher. So I'm expecting to see some regulations shortly from US CIS, and to understand more how this might apply down the road. But for people who really wants to invest, there are regionals offices that are accredited by US CIS, where they can invest in the country in certain areas where the projects are. And this is on the terms of the pool project, the pool investment. But also you can do that individually. If you want, you have the idea, you have the funds, you want to open something, you want to invest something, you still can do that.
I see. Wow, this is very interesting. I learned quite a lot about these investors' visas today from this conversation with you, and it's interesting. First of all, it's interesting that the U.S. Government came up with these programs that really attracts people with fewer money, with more money, that are really creative and can create businesses and employ people that already live here, work here. I think this is it's a good practice that other countries might copy paste or might adapt to their own immigration policies. And it's interesting to see different requirements that targets different categories of people once again, and then also the benefits that this visa might provide. For example, the E1 and E2, they are non-immigrant visas, so they don't lead to getting your green card. However, they are almost indefinitely, and you have the advantages of working, living legally in the United States. While the EB2, which requires more money for you to invest, but gives you the green card, even though conditionally and then eventually permanently. So it's quite interesting in terms of policy also, and then procedures, and then how the immigration system also works. Well, thank you very much. I think this was a good start for our educational sessions through the Facebook Lives. I hope our audience will find it interesting too. And we'll definitely be back again with another topic, either related to immigration or tax. Once again, for those who just watch us now or later, we are from Migration Resource Center. We provide legal immigration services and tax services, both representation and tax preparation. Same with the immigration, helping prepare your cases, representing you before the immigration court if that's the case. Check our Facebook page, check our website, and get in touch with us for more information if you need it. Thank you. Fred, anything to say at the end?
Oh, you just covered everything. What I want to just say that we're going to continue this kind of session education about investment. There is more to talk about it. We just touched base. We didn't scratch in details. But anyone who really has an interest to invest in the U.S. or need to get more consultation would be more than happy to call the office and make an appointment, either video call or phone consultation or in person. But I want to ensure that we're gonna come back to this to discuss about those kind of two visas, the investment, more in details, and to discuss more up to date the regulations that come in from USCIS. But thank you very much. Thanks for everyone that was part of this education session.
Thank you, Fred. Till the next session.
Thank you.
Thank you.